Yo, what is good, guys? Welcome to the Fantasy Football Prodigy channel, and in this video we are once again going to be setting our lineups across my 3 fantasy football leagues, just like we do each and every week. It is week 9 of the 2022 fantasy football season. So with that being said, let's get right into it. This is the first of 3 leagues. This is a non-PPR redraft league with a standard snake draft, 1 quarterback. My Bungling Buffaloes, I actually started 0-2 in every single league. In some leagues, we turned it around, and others not so much. And we also do have a couple trades to go over as well in a few of these leagues here. So my Bungling Buffaloes beat the 69ers. I am now 5-3 on the season. Kirk Cousins had a nice game for me. Miles Sanders and Rhamondre Stevenson are proving to be great draft day steals for me. And then Tyreek Hill, I got him in the 3rd round because people were nervous about him on the new offense, but at that point in the draft, I was like, hey man, it's Tyreek Hill, you got to draft him. And yeah, even my kicker, because we have kickers in this league, he's like the #1 kicker right now, Meyers for Seattle. So we're kind of popping off. Here's a look at the bench. If you haven't been following along with the series, we are without Javonte Williams as well, so that 2nd round draft pick was lit on fire and thrown out. But no Njoku, but it looks like Dalton Schultz might be kind of useful, but he is now on bye, so we have to replace Schultz this week. And then sorry, I do have a cough, excuse me, apologies for that. And I sat Metcalf just because we weren't sure how he would look coming off that kind of scary injury, but he made use of his time on the field. So he did have a good week on my bench, but we still won. In terms of transactions here, mainly I added Justin Fields off of waivers for 22 out of 200 fab. I do have Kirk Cousins, but I just figured, you know what, Fields has a little bit more upside if he can keep it rolling, especially, once we get near the end of the season. I'm hoping he can give me some big weeks down the stretch. And I did trade away Garrett Wilson for Hollywood Brown. So Beef, I'm not going to say the name, that team. Actually, it's a pretty good team, but can't really get any wins. So they are now 2-6 on a 2-game winning streak, I believe. So I was like, you know what? I'll give you Garrett Wilson, a player that you could maybe use now in the short term, for Hollywood Brown, someone who maybe near the end of the year will make an impact for fantasy. But the reason I traded away Garrett Wilson, and I was fine to do it, in addition to what I just said, is, yeah, he had a good game against New England, but then he gets Buffalo, a bye week, New England again. Those are 3 weeks where I am not going to be playing him, so I'd rather just get someone now, and I can put Hollywood Brown on my injured reserve spot and free up a roster spot. So that was the reason I made that trade. I then picked up Dawson Knox, but with the Mark Andrews listed as doubtful, last I heard, Isaiah Likely should get the start, and even if Andrews does play, Likely will still probably get, a handful of targets if Andrews is limited in some capacity. But last I heard, Andrews was doubtful. That brings us to this week's matchup, week 9. So the Thursday game has already happened. I did have Miles Sanders in this league, and I was going up against Jalen Hurts. So there really are no tough decisions because I have a lot of players injured and on bye. And you know what? I'm going to put my money where my mouth is. I made a start of the week video for week 9, and I did make Justin Fields a start of the week. So I'm going to put him in at quarterback over Kirk Cousins. I do also like Kirk Cousins against his old team. It's a little revenge game. But you'll see later on I do have Kirk Cousins in another league. So sometimes when I don't know, if I'm kind of split on who to start, I might start a player in one league and then sit them in another league. And I do love Justin Fields against the Miami Dolphins. We had Miles Sanders play. Rhamondre Stevenson has been hot. Tyreek Hill's an auto start. DK Metcalf, I'm playing him against Arizona. I already talked about Isaiah Likely. I have to start him because no Njoku and no Dalton Schultz. And then I am actually going to be starting Darnell Mooney. Got a little stack going with Justin Fields there. I think this game in general has a chance to be a little more high scoring than you might think just looking at it. And he's been solid just because the Bears are letting Justin Fields throw the ball a little bit more, and he's looking pretty good. So I'm going to go with Darnell Mooney. And it all comes down to the options that I have here. Edmonds, Latavius, Sutton, those 2 tight ends on a bye week. Jonathan Taylor is out with an injury. So, and there's really nothing too good on the waiver wire. So that's why I'm rolling with those options. And like I said, Javonte Williams out for the season, obviously, suffered that injury earlier in the year. And I got Jason Meyers and the Patriots defense. Very confident in my special teams this week. All right. Now we're moving on to our auction league. That was the regular League of Bros. This is the auction League of Bros. It's also a redraft league, but this is a Superflex. So this is last week. I'm now 2-6. I got my 2nd win of the season in this league. It's not going very well, but I think I do have a solid team. It just isn't really working out. Jonathan Taylor is really not doing me any favors. And I did also draft Javonte Williams in this league, who, as we know, as I mentioned, has been injured. So, and he's out for the year. So that's a look at my lineup from last week. We had a huge week. Even though my opponent had Alvin Kamara, Devontae Adams had less than a point, and then Bateman and Pickens had a goose for him, and his quarterbacks combined for 22, while both of my quarterbacks each had over 22. So 16.68. So we had 22, 23.5 or something like that. Here, I'm getting out the calculator. 16.68 plus 6.82. 23.5. I was right. I nailed it. So yeah, their quarterbacks combined for 25, and Dak Prescott himself outscored them. That's kind of crazy. In terms of recent transactions, here's kind of a look at what's been going down in the league as a whole. But I did add Josh Palmer and drop Wan'Dale Robinson. Even though I like Wan'Dale, I need to start this week, as you'll see in a little bit. And Gerald Everett was picked up. It's kind of weird because I had to drop Gerald Everett to make roster space because my tight ends are already strong. And Pat Freiermuth was dropped to pick up Gerald Everett. So those are two like startup-worthy tight ends most weeks. I wish I didn't have to drop Everett, but unfortunately I did. And then what else did my team do here? Unfortunately, Deion Jackson was picked up before I could get him. I did have him for the previous game when he went off, but then I dropped him, and now he gets to start again with Jonathan Taylor out. Excuse me, sorry about my cough, guys. This is my flu game, okay, Michael Jordan style. I did also add Treylon Burks. I moved someone to IR, Jonathan Taylor to IR, because he's out. Added Treylon Burks, put him on IR, and then added Chase Edmonds, who's now in the Broncos. This is my matchup this week, guys. Only 4-4, but got a pretty nice team. I'm hoping that, Fournette and Godwin don't do too much against the Rams when it comes to... I mean, Josh Jacobs will probably have a good game, but we'll see what happens. I mean, when it comes to DeAndre Hopkins, I'm hoping Ertz gets some of that production taken away from DeAndre Hopkins with Mostert. I'm hoping maybe Jalen Waddle gets some of that, maybe a touchdown near the end zone, and Mostert doesn't get it. When it's Aaron Jones and Rodgers, hopefully Aaron Jones falls in the end zone on a rushing touchdown, and Aaron Jones doesn't throw any in. It's going to come down to things like that this week in this matchup. And then I am cutting up this video quite a bit. I'm trying to cut out as much coughing as I can. So again, apologies. But I got to get the video out. I've done it every week. I'm not going to stop now just because I got a little sickness, a little cold. So Kirk Cousins, Geno Smith, those are my starters with Dak on bye. Aaron Jones against Detroit. He's one of my starts of the week. He's an auto start. Kenneth Walker has been amazing each and every week. You got to start him. Jalen Waddle, same thing. And then looking at the benches here. So I'm without Brandin Cooks, who didn't play. Gus Edwards is doubtful. And even if he was questionable, he's not playing till Monday. So I don't want to, not start someone, wait till Monday night, and then have him not play and then not have a good pivot option. I don't want to play Brian Robinson or Curtis Samuel, really. And I should have played Dallas Goedert. Kind of like I mentioned earlier, sometimes if I have one player in two leagues and I don't know if I want to start him in both, and if I have a good option, I will start that player in one league and sit him in the other. So in my Dynasty League, Dallas Goedert is clearly my top starting tight end for this week. But in this league, I have Zach Ertz, who before the week, like Ertz and Goedert are pretty much a number 2 and 3 consensus ranked tight ends, with Kelsey number 1. So I was like, you know what? I'll play Ertz in a great matchup in this one, Goedert in the other one. In hindsight, I wish I would have played Goedert. And I actually did consider starting Goedert at tight end and then flexing Zach Ertz with my other options. But I didn't do that, and I wish I had, because Goedert did have 20 points on my bench in this league. So that sucks, but at least I did get that start in the league that we're going to look at next. But with no Jonathan Taylor, no Cooks, losing Javonte, I'm at the point where I am putting Jakobi Meyers and Joshua Palmer in the lineup. I also have DK Metcalf in the flex here. But Josh Palmer, with no Keenan Allen and no Mike Williams, that should be a good start against Atlanta. He's also one of my starts of the week. And then Jakobi Meyers, even though it is a tough matchup against the Colts, he just sees so many targets that I think he's a safe play each and every week. So hopefully he can have a solid game. And then here is our Dynasty League of Bros. I am the team Prodigious. I started 0-2 in this league as well, just like every other league. We are now 5-3, and I had the most points in the league last week. This is a half PPR league, by the way, 1 quarterback. Tua had a huge game for me. Miles Sanders, DeAndre Hopkins went off, DJ Moore, Christian McCaffrey. I mean, my team just went absolutely bananas last week, and I'm hoping they can do the same thing again. Kyle Pitts was on the bench. He had 16.5. Hopefully, as the season goes along, it's looking like at least for this season. Hopefully he becomes someone that we can start with a little more confidence. But we'll see. Either way, for Dynasty, I love him long term. But I do have Goedert to play, this season and Dalton Schultz if Kyle Pitts doesn't start being a little bit more productive. And Greg Dulcich, someone dropped in this league. I went pretty heavy for him on the waiver wire, and it's looking like that was a nice little pickup. Transactions here. I did trade for Chase Edmonds. Now, it's actually funny. This was moments before he got traded to Denver. So I just traded for him from a team who isn't really contending. They're rebuilding. I traded him Juwan Johnson in a 2025 third. I have like no draft picks left for Chase Edmonds, just in hopes that he would be the Raheem Mostert handcuff for the Miami Dolphins. Because I assume Raheem Mostert will go down with injury at some point. Obviously, I don't want that, but just given his history with injury, it could happen. We'll just say that it could happen. But now he's not even on the team. It is what it is. And it kind of reminds me how in this league, there was a different trade that went through. Brandin Cooks for Rashad Bateman. So the guy that got Bateman, the news hadn't broke that Bateman was going to undergo surgery and miss the season until literally it had to be minutes or maybe an hour after the trade went through. So it was pretty crazy. But that was a funny, the trade deadline was pretty wild this year. There was a lot of moving parts. But now we will get on to this week's matchup in the Dynasty League. I already have Miles Sanders and Dallas Goedert in the lineup. I played against AJ Brown. Really no tough decisions. And listen, you might see this lineup and think, wow, your team sucks. I mean, you probably just saw the bench in the last slide in my starting lineup. But there are a lot of injuries, a lot of bye weeks right now. So right now I'm going with Tua over Tom Brady. I think Brady could bounce back at some point, but against the Rams, I don't know, man. I'm just going to go with Tua against the Bears. Tua's been so good. He has such big upside. I played Brady against the Saints when Tua had that 6-touchdown game. Never again, bro. Never again. Joe Mixon, he's a lock. Miles Sanders, I played. DJ Moore, 2 good weeks in a row. Can he make it 3? We'll see. Zay Jones, he's just, he sees targets. It's a great matchup, and I got people missing, so I'm going to put him in the lineup here. DeAndre Hopkins, obviously you start him every week. Chris Godwin, same thing. He's pretty much an auto start unless you're really stacked. And I played Goedert. And then actually, funny enough, at this point, I am playing Kyle Pitts at the flex position. It's getting that bad where I'm flexing a tight end. Although in that other league, if I would have flexed Goedert, I probably would have been fine. Played Ertz and Goedert, that would have worked out. So maybe in this league it'll work out. And I'm playing the Cardinals defense against Seattle. So as you see with my bench here, wait, did I even go over all the transactions? I think I missed something. The only thing I forgot to say, guys, is I did add PJ Walker. Okay, and I added Jermichael Hasty as well. And I cut Jamison Crowder. I only bring that up because I just saw him right here. So week 11, Tom Brady and Tua both have a bye week. And PJ Walker's playing Baltimore, and there's literally no other quarterbacks on the waiver wire, so I had to pick him up. But McCaffrey's on bye, not playing James Robinson. He's still getting acclimated to the team. They're playing Buffalo. No, thank you. Jonathan Taylor, he's out. You see some of these people are on bye. I wouldn't want to play them anyways. But Latavius Murray is someone who you could throw in the lineup, but he's even on a bye week. J.D. McKissic, I don't want to play, but he's actually out. Mike Williams is out. Sutton on bye. Claypool with a brand new team. I thought about maybe playing Marvin Jones, but at that point I was like, I'll just play Kyle Pitts over Marvin Jones. Dulcich, Schultz on bye. And as of now, I am playing Seattle over the Chargers, who are playing Atlanta. If I do make any changes to the lineup, I will always comment it down below and put it in the description. But that's going to do it for this video, guys. I'm going to go rest my vocal cords. I am actually getting over my sickness pretty well, but I've been doing a lot of talking lately. And my throat's kind of sore. I talked a lot about my job, and then I went to the Timberwolves game against the Rockets, and then I started recording videos. So I've just been talking all day. So I'm gonna go rest up. Thank you guys for watching. I really appreciate it. I love making these videos where I can just show you what's going on in my leagues for those who care to just stay up to date with what's going on. And yeah, check out my start of the week video that I dropped today as well. And with that being said, I'll see you guys later. Good luck in week 9. Peace out.